Hey everybody, welcome. Today I want to talk about what makes a good aquarium. I had a lot of downtime considering I was stuck in quarantine, had a lot of time to reflect on what I saw while I was in Germany, and there was definitely lots of stuff to see. There was, big beautiful displays, there's different types of stores, there was different types of hobbyists, there was breeders, there was all of these things, right? One thing that I really saw there being a disparity of, there'd be people that were kind of doing it for, let's say, money or notoriety or their job. And then there were people that were doing it as passion projects. And those people were different. I think I'm somewhere in between with always wanting to lean back towards passion project, but I find myself getting myself into trouble. Like I've got these frogs that when they breed, the babies hatch out of their back and that kind of stuff. And while I think it's kind of cool, I'm not necessarily in love with them. Like I still check up on them and they're interesting, but I kind of know that once they breed, I'm going to raise them and then kind of be done with them because I'm not in love with the way they look or the way their aquarium is or the way they're interacting with me. I put together a list of some things to think about that makes a good aquarium for me. And everyone's going to be different, right? Some people might say they only want a biotope aquarium, and that would be where all the fish and the plants and everything come from the same region in the world. For others, it might be a specific fish is going to breed. Is it a pond you're setting up outside? And so I've got general principles that work for me, and I think for most people, if you follow most of these, that they will guide you to what I think is a good aquarium. A good aquarium, to start defining that, I think it's the whole ecosystem. It's not just do your fish look good, do your plants look good, is your water clear? It's the whole package. And for me, where it really started, I really started thinking about that is, how do I handle this? I was supposed to be gone for 2 weeks. It got extended to 3 weeks. And so the people I had taking care of my aquariums while I was gone changed. One of the things that I really put value on was resiliency and redundancy. So one thing that made it easier for me is right before I left, I think you guys saw in the members only video, I had set up some cameras that allowed me to check on Ladybird and the fish room in general and just get a visual cue of like, yep, looks the same. And so that's like one of the most extra features you could have on a fish tank is a camera. But what I know that I do like is I run air pumps and sponge filters, almost no moving parts. The lighting, I had skylights, but also lights kind of over the aquariums. And if those didn't come on, it wasn't, my plants would suffer a little bit, but still had some natural light coming into the room. And I think you guys can do that too with, you see all around me, I have windows and there's shades down right now. But to add some redundancy, I could leave some of that up in my fish room if I had windows, which I have none. That's actually why I'm up here. And let some of that light in so that maybe the lights don't have to turn on and off, or someone forgets to turn them on. And, I was using auto feeders on the tanks that I could. And the tanks that were really worrying me the most were the ones where I couldn't do that. Like the turtle. He just wasn't used to eating pellets, like floating pellets or round pellets yet. He'd only eat algae wafers. I have my ellipsifer eel that wants to eat frozen food all the time. Ladybird eats frozen food. And so I'd have these things that didn't work on auto feeders, and that made me worry, like, are they getting fed the right thing? Did I leave enough food? We actually ran out of clams. I just picked them up from the store yesterday, about 2 or 3 days after we got back from Germany. We could have got stuck there another week. So again, didn't really have all of that redundancy like I probably should have. But when it comes to filtration, all of that, I just want it to work. And so a good aquarium, it's something that you don't have to worry about, I think. And so that's one of the big keys for me is not having to worry, oh, does that thing get clogged up? Oh, is this, does the light almost fall in? What makes a good aquarium for me kind of redundant and bulletproof. Next, I would say, am I enjoying it? And for me, are other people that look at my aquariums enjoying it? So that's not you guys, the fans. That's my wife, family, friends that come over. Do they, I've got 70 aquariums basically, and which ones do they go, ooh, I like looking at this one. They like looking at, Elmer and Ladybird, and they don't care about those frogs or the ellipsifer eel that hides the whole time and that kind of stuff. So I end up getting less enjoyment because I talk about it less. I want that enjoyment though. I get some enjoyment out of it, but it's another level if I get enjoyment and other people get enjoyment too, because that furthers my enjoyment of talking about, okay, do you see these frogs? When they have babies, they're going to come out of their back. Super gross, right? So I like it when other people are interested in my aquariums as well, because that also furthers the passion for me, and that helps make that aquarium better for me. Next thing I think is evolving on your aquarium. So what makes a good aquarium for me is it's not just newly set up. You know, we've talked about having your aquarium be seasoned and well cycled and all of that, but is this version 2, 3, 4, 5? Rarely does someone set anything up in the world and go, this is the best version I can make first try. I don't like the way algae is growing on this wall because of the way the light is. Maybe I adjust that. That might be version 2. And so you make those changes. Then you up to version 3. Maybe I need to adjust the fertilizer. Maybe I need to take one species out because they're getting out competed for food. Maybe I need to change the food. You know, if you have a recipe for food and it's the first time you've ever made it, it might be great. But you kind of know like, ooh, next time, a little creamier. Next time, ooh, a little less salt. Whatever that is, that's how you get the recipe for the good aquarium, is you know you put a bunch of these things together, and at the end you have something that you're proud of and you're really enjoying because you're removing the parts you don't, you're adding more of the parts you do. I think that's a key ingredient to what makes an aquarium good for each person. So I've said this a million times and I always get pushback, and having more time to think, I think I've realized where I'm going wrong. And for me, I've always stated that if fish are breeding, that's a sign your aquarium is healthy. Fish can breed in adverse conditions, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it is beneficial to them. But I do believe that fish trying to breed in general, whether you're successful or not, I don't care about that, in general proves some things to me of a good aquarium. One, I really enjoy seeing that behavior, whether it's white clouds dancing at each other. You know, I'd much rather have them trying to breed than trying to fight off ick or something like that. Like when you see fish colored up and flaring and doing their thing, I take that as a good sign. One of the good signs. It's not, you know, it doesn't mean like when your fish are breeding, you're a millionaire. Like there's 4 billion steps between those. But it's one like, oh, I'm glad to see my fish are at least in good enough shape to be breeding and not too skinny or anything like that. Plants. Are the plants looking vibrant? For me, I think good aquariums always have plants, whether they're real or fake. So you've basically got fish, you've got plants, and you've got the ecosystem, like the bacteria and all of that. And so plants are a big one for me though, because even if your ecosystem is very strong and your fish look great, but all the plants look terrible and are dying, when you look at that aquarium, I won't go, ooh, that's a nice aquarium. I'll go, ooh, man, we gotta get those plants looking a little better, because then it'll really look good, right? I always want a background. Always. 99% of the time, I want it to be a black background, even though a decent amount of my tanks have these like 3D backgrounds. I kind of still prefer black. I really don't like blue. And then the 3D backgrounds are like, that's pretty cool, but I don't know if I like giving up the space. I don't know if I like when the algae grows on it. I don't know if I like nets kind of rubbing up against it and making it hard to catch fish. But in general, I do know a background. I gotta have a background. The point is making a dedicated effort of like, once I look at the front glass, see whatever's in the aquarium, and then I start seeing what's behind. Have we taken effort to make that nice and clean behind it so that I'm not distracted with like, oh, is that like fish poop on the wall? Like what's going on back there? Yeah, so background, super duper duper important for me. The last one I think that helps make a good aquarium, that's the easy list, a really good light, or one that looks really good. You know, if you have blue fish, you have something that's making the blue pop. If you have plants, you know, especially if you have red plants, the easiest way to make them look more red is have a light that has more red in it. It will intensify that red. But in general, I like a light to be powerful enough, but not too powerful. You can really wash fish out. You know, if you buy a Fluval 3.0 from us, a lot of people just crank that sucker on. And it's like, you don't need that much light though. You're going to grow a lot of algae. Your fish are going to look blown out. So my face is starting to get really bright and white. And this is what they call blowout, where the light's reflecting off my skin now. Right? So this lights, if I was to use these lights at full blast, here they are. It's too intense. But at the end of the day, I love to just walk in and be like, ooh, looking good today. All right. Yeah, doing good. That's the main reason I keep aquariums. Let me try to get this where I like it now that I've changed all the settings. A little too dark. We'll go right there for right now.
We hope you enjoyed this video. To watch another one just like this, click here.